Welcome to Mastering Life's Adventures, an educational podcast about tapping into your true self, the soul, the substance of your life, to discover what life's ups and downs are really about, and how to have a greater sense of purpose, peace, joy, and fulfillment. I am Dr. Judith Holder, your host, coach, psychologist, fellow seeker who enjoys diving into the connections between spirituality, psychology, wellness, and your everyday life's adventures. All preparing and polishing you like the facets of a magnificent diamond to be your best self. If you're craving more from your life, you are in the right place. Come, let's journey together and transforming what you know into who you really are. Mastering Life's Adventures begins now.
Imagine being lost at sea in a storm. The sky is dark, the waves are high, and the shoreline is nowhere in sight. The only thing that matters is a compass that points you north. Without it, you drift. With it, you find your way home. This is what the soul wishes you to do. Know your North Star, your compass that helps you to move forward on your path home. And that's what truth is for the soul, a compass. And in today's world, storms, confusion, fear, noise, anxiety, truth-telling is not just an option. It's the courage to hold the compass steady and follow it even when the winds push the other way. Hi, I'm back for another episode on Keys to Soul Progress. And this is about truth-telling and speaking the truth and the courage that takes and how it is so important to the soul. We've talked about enabling truth and the rippling of truth-telling. Now we turn to the courage it takes to speak truth that guides not just our own soul, but those that are around us. Because as in a storm, people don't need vague opinions. They need direction. And the soul that lives in truth becomes a lighthouse for others. A compass always points north. It doesn't change based upon emotions or culture or convenience. Truth works the same way. It is constant even when the storms swirl. When life is chaotic, truth gives clarity. When voices compete, truth gives direction. And when fear grips, truth gives strength. But here's the challenge. Storms test whether we will trust the compass. It is tempting to throw it aside and follow the shifting winds of comfort or compromise. Yet the soul that holds fast to truth finds stability no matter how fierce the storm becomes. In life, in our everyday life, take many forms. For example, you may have a financial setback that tempts you to cut corners. Are you going to do it? Or are you going to follow the way of truth of that financial challenge that you're having? A relationship conflict where silence feels safer than honesty. You have a choice. And this is what life is about. We always have choices, and we have to make sure our compass is due north and making those decisions that are in attunement and alignment with our soul. Another example would be a cultural pressure, whatever that might be, that demands compromise instead of conviction. You have a choice. Compromise is easier, but conviction is the way of the soul. Truth is costly. It might bring rejection, loss, or ridicule. But not speaking, disabling truth costs more. It costs the soul its clarity. And it costs the soul a sense of direction and purpose. The book of Proverbs reminds us, buy the truth and sell it not. And that's from Proverbs chapter 23, verse 23. In other words, truth may cost you something, but never trade it away. The storm will pass, but if you abandon the compass, you lose your way entirely. You become like trying to navigate in a fog, unclear where you need to go because you let go of your compass of truth. So what does truth actually give you? Because some people say, well, it's not that bad. It's only a white lie, or it's not, you're only avoiding off a little bit. That's the rationale of the carnal mind, the ego persona. But it does actually cost you. Let's first talk about what it actually gives you. It gives you clarity. Truth cuts through fog like a compass needle. It points you back to your soul's direction when confusion clouds your mind. It gives you clarity. It gives you courage. Every time you speak truth, even trembling, your courage grows. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting in truth despite fear. It gives you credibility. Truth builds trust with others. Even if they don't like what you say in the moment, they'll know your word was weight. And the last it gives you is connection. Truth connects the soul to God. Falsehood builds walls. Truth tears them down, making space for grace to flow. These are 4 C's of Christ that you can think of with those who are walking a spiritual path. And those 4 C's of clarity, courage, credibility, connection are all important qualities, all important virtues to be able to develop, to have a greater measure of truth. Because without truth, the soul drifts. With it, the soul anchors. And we want to anchor in something greater than ourselves. We want to anchor that soul substance of our life into the Christic way of living, into the Lord's way of living, the I am presence way of living. Here's some thoughts in terms of different perspectives. A pilot once said, in a storm, your feelings will betray you. You feel like you're flying level when you're actually tilted. That's why we rely on instruments. The same is true of the soul. Feelings may scream one direction, but truth is the instrument panel that keeps us steady. For example, a college student was pressured to agree with ideas that went against her convictions. Instead of lending in, she said respectfully, I see it differently. She was mocked at first, but months later, classmates came to her privately saying, I wish I had your courage. Her truth-telling became a compass for others who may be adrift. Another example would be a parent or a father. And a father once told his kids, I won't always get it right, but I will always tell you the truth. Over the years, those kids saw his consistency. Even when the truth was uncomfortable, they learned that love and truth walk together. They became their compass in adulthood. And what parents need to know is that the more they role model the quality of truth-telling, the more it helps those individuals that they're parenting. When they move into adulthood, they can see the truth. Therefore, they can speak the truth. They can learn what it is to be courageous and knowing that it's not always comfortable. And they realize uncomfortability is not something that I sit on, but instead I look at the uncomfortability and ask myself, is this truth? Is this according to spiritual teachings that you might have, or according to the traditions that you do have, so that you can speak the truth and then have a dialogue about it? So why does truth-telling move the soul upward? You might be thinking that. And I have kind of an answer, and you may have your thoughts, and please give it to me in the comment section. So why does truth-telling move the soul upward? What are your thoughts? Here are mine. Truth is the atmosphere in which the soul breathes. Without it, the soul grasps for air, surviving but not thriving. And when you live in truth, you're aligned with divine order, and your soul expands, strengthens, and shines. The teachings tell us that the soul without truth becomes fragmented, divided against itself. But the soul anchored in truth becomes whole, stable, and radiant. Truth-telling is not just about being honest with others. It's about being honest with yourself, with God, and with life itself. That honesty is what keeps the soul growing, no matter how fierce the storm that you may be in. And it is that grounding in that compass of truth that allows you to have a greater depth of awareness, a greater understanding that I need to do it this way. But truth also is not cutting. It's not nasty. It's not intentionally trying to harm someone with words or with gestures. That is not the flame of truth. That might be quasi-truth that is coming as the ego persona and wanting to be right or wanting to be better than someone else. But I'm talking about truth that has integrity. So truth is not only a compass, it is a form of courageousness. Every time you choose to speak truth, you exercise the spiritual muscle of courage. And courage, like any muscle, grows stronger with use. Why does this matter for soul progress? It really does matter. Because life is a series of lessons designed to refine us. And each lesson presents a choice. Will I lean on truth, or will I avoid it? Those who avoid truth may find temporary relief and ease, but they also delay their soul growth. Those who embrace truth, even when it stings, accelerate their soul's development. Think of a student learning math. If they only copy answers without working the problems, they avoid discomfort, but never master the lesson. And in the same way, truth-telling is working the problem of life. It may be hard. It may stretch you. It may even feel like you're going to crumble because of the stress of having to express the truth or be in that form of truth-telling in a kind way, but also in a conviction way. But every honest choice strengthens your mastery of the soul's lessons to be learned. We all have come into embodiment to learn certain lessons, and those lessons continue to repeat themselves, as I have talked about recurring patterns in my past episodes in September. You may want to go back and listen to that. So I want to make sure you understand that truth is really a beautiful thing. And here's the hidden beauty. When you show courage and truth-telling, you not only pass your own lesson, you help others pass theirs. Your courage becomes their inspiration. Your compass becomes their North Star. That is soul progress multiplied. We're here to grow and learn. We're learning this discernment between what is truth, what is a half-truth, and what is the truth that needs to be said in the situation. We don't want to do half-truths. We want to be truthful, but we also want to look at how we want to convey that truth. And that sometimes we're not sure, so we're quiet, or we say nothing. Looks like we're going along. But in actuality, we may not feel comfortable expressing how we feel. It's far better to be able to say to someone, I'm not sure in this situation, and go into your closet of self and ask God, what should I do here? What is the truth in this situation? As we're listening to our inner self, we're listening to our soul, we're listening to the Christic energy that exists within us that we have developed and continue to fine-tune, it will give us an awareness of what we need to say, when we need to say it, how we need to say it. So how do you build courage to speak truth that guides? And I've got some things for you to consider. First, anchor in daily practice. Begin each day with a commitment. I will live and speak in truth today. Small daily choices build strength for larger storms. We have to be intentional about this because it's easy to slip down the mountain and not tell the truth because we didn't feel like the person could take it. Well, we can look at how we say things, certainly, but to not say anything or to lie, that's not helping your soul. Your soul wants to fly. Your soul wants to continue to progress moving forward. It doesn't want you to negate something that needs to be said because you may be the only one in that group of people or in that situation that speaks the truth. The next thing, test your compass. When faced with a decision, ask, does this align with what I know is eternal? And if not, don't follow it. Does this align with what I know is eternal? Because truth is eternal. There are universal principles that I've talked about in past episodes. So that's one of the qualities about truth, that it is eternal. And so if it feels like it's fading, or you're saying something that's the trend of the day, stop, check yourself. Say, what is the deeper truth here? Because this is a kind of a false level of truth taking place. The next thing you can do, surround yourself with truth tellers. Just like sailors, look for lighthouses. Surround yourself with those who live in truth. Their light will strengthen your own. Birds of a feather flock together. Watch, observe, look. What are the people doing around you? Then those who are following the point of truth and willing to tell the truth and deal with the uncomfortability of that truth. Not all truth-telling is uncomfortable. Sometimes it's very freeing to share your perspective. And most times, it's the right thing to do because you're on a soul path. You're walking a path in which your way is the way back to God. Not living in the world, not trying to be everything everyone wants you to be in the world, Not trying to be the latest influencer. If you're going to influence for the truth and be the truth teller. That will attract others to do the same. And the last thing you can do, remember the ripples. Your words today may guide someone years from now. The courage you show now could be the compass that saves another soul later. Remember the ripples, the words that we speak, how we show up in our interactions and conversations can be very influential, knowingly or unknowingly, in how others will try to emulate and be that truth teller, that lighthouse that allows others to be able to express themselves in hearing perspective. So the soul is always anchoring into asking oneself, Christ, the I am presence, what do I need to say here? What is the timing behind this? What is the truth I need to see? What is the truth I may need to speak? Guide me, help me to be able always to be the auspices of your flame of truth. That's the call you're making to the Lord, that you're making to your higher self to be able to help you. Because the reality is there's some things we're not quite sure. But all this is not trying to have to be sure of sure. What we're trying to do is anchor in awareness. What is the truth? And that's where we're just trying to get more discernment around. Truth-telling is the compass that keeps the soul aligned, even in storms. It gives clarity. You've heard me say several times here, when the world is confused, courage when the world is afraid, and connection when the world feels divided. And those qualities that we've talked about that are so vital to growing one's soul and on the spiritual path, that are so vital to being more Christ-like in your interactions and in your dealings every day, are clarity, courage, credibility, and connection. Clarity, courage, credibility, and connection. Those are some of the major steps that lay underneath your footsteps of how you're trying to be when you're walking a spiritual path. So here's my question to you. In the storm swirling around you, what truth is your soul asking you to speak? Not only to guide yourself, but to help guide someone else. Something to think about. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining me for this episode on Mastering Life's Adventures, being your best self through soul evolution. If you have enjoyed what you've heard today, I would be delighted if you would share this episode with others, leave a thumbs up, and subscribe to my Mastering Life's Adventures podcast. Look forward to your joining the next episode. Please leave any comments or suggestions you might have below. Bye for now.